Oh, hello. Sneaky you. You knew I was coming back to my house to offload some board games before I went back to Christopher's. Well, on the way back from the board game store, something occurred to me. No one ever asks me, Josh, what's the one thing that can help me understand board games? And I always tell them, well, there's a certain lingo to the way board games are played. Rules lingo, if you will. Now, in this video, if you notice that I leave out any kind of rules lingo that can help you out in board gaming, by all means leave a comment below. But refrain from using lingo like the fact that these little figurines are called meeples and they're synonymous with board gaming, but they can't help you learn to play board games or understand the lingo better. We'll probably have that in another video later on in the series. So join me over here where I've got an example set up to help you better understand board gaming lingo. Our first example uses the game Smash Up. It's a great example of a game that uses several different board game rule terminologies, and it can really teach you how these different terms work. Take, for instance, may versus must. Those two words can make a huge difference in the outcome of a play. Take, for instance, the Supreme Overlord, which states you may return a minion to its owner's hand, versus Beam Up, which says return a minion to its owner's hand. So one says may and the other one doesn't. If may or must aren't included in the sentence, then it's usually implied that the rule or the procedure that you're supposed to go through is a must. Another great thing about Smash Up is that it teaches you how to target different sections of your play area. I mean, in Smash Up alone, you've got your deck, your hand, the discard pile, you've got minions and action cards and bases and the base deck, and then other players' decks and hands and discard piles. There's so many different things and combinations that you can come up with in this game, and just making sure that you can carefully read the rules really helps you with the flow of this game. Take, for instance, Hideout. It reads, play on a base, ongoing. If another player's action would affect your minions here, destroy this card and the action does not affect your minions. That's a lot of targeting information. Speaking of ongoing, that's a special term used in gaming that means that whatever the special rule or ability is continues to take effect as long as that card is in play. As soon as that card is taken out of play, then that ongoing effect is not ongoing. So paying careful attention to what the specific rule or card is targeting can also help you out. In fact, when I played Smash Up with a bunch of friends who really weren't used to modern day board games, they didn't quite understand it the first time they played, but by the second game, not only did they understand the targeting rules and may versus must, but they really enjoyed it too. Onward to X-Wing, which is another good example of may versus must, but it's also got another thing going for it. Order of operations. What fun. So there I was, in the middle of an X-Wing competition. Poe Dameron was damaged beyond repair, only one hull point left before he was destroyed. My only option was to fly through an asteroid, but I had to roll a damage dice, and it landed on a damage. But wait a second, I've got R2-D2, and I performed a green maneuver, which means that I could recover a shield and possibly survive it, right? Well, not exactly. We had to call in someone to double check the rule for us, and, well, upon correctly reading the R2-D2 card, it said, after. After performing the green maneuver, I could recover a shield, which meant that the damage came before the shield. And that was the end of Poe, and I lost that battle. But that goes to show you the importance of the order of operations in a board game, before, during, after. that can make a huge difference in whether you win or lose, or just simply lose a unit, fall down a flight of stairs, or you go madly insane because Cthulhu tentacles and stuff like that. The other situation in which you might encounter orders of operations is in the rulebook itself, especially in games where it's co-op, you and your friends versus the board. There's going to be an order of operations on how the enemy or the bad guy or the zombies operate. And if you go in the wrong order, well, you can really screw up things for yourself, or you might just make the game way too easy. So just pay careful attention in these rule books to make sure that you're following the proper procedures to activate zombies or make horrible things happen around the world. You know, speaking of dice, that does remind me, there's even lingo involving dice. I'll show you. Dice are fun, and board game developers know this. That's why they add tons and tons of dice to many of their games. And it's important to know, well, what exactly the dice terms are. Take this for instance. This is a D20 because it's not just a 20-sided dice, but because it also has the numbers 1 through 20 on it. It's got 20 options. Same thing for this D10. And of course, your classic D6, which is the most common kind of dice. It's a 6-sided dice. But just because a dice has 6 sides doesn't necessarily mean it's got 6 options. Take this Destiny dice from Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's only got 3 options, which technically means it's a D3. It's got the plus, minus, and a blank. And each of these options is equal in that it has 2 sides on that dice. You might be interested to know that these little dots on the dice are called pips. And some games actually have you managing or mitigating these pips, like in Steampunk Rally. You spend these metal cogs to reduce a dice's number of pips and eventually get rid of that dice entirely so that you can add more dice to that machine that you're running. And then there is the third type of dice. The dice that's, well, while it might have a certain number of sides, isn't really that number of dice. Like, this is a D8, but it's got an odd number of symbols on it, and there's not an equal number of symbols dispersed throughout the dice. This is one of those situations where you've got specialty dice that only work for one kind of game. Like, this is the X-Wing Miniatures Evade dice, and this is the Attack dice. The Attack dice have 4 hits on it, 2 focuses, 2 blanks, but only 1 crit. So the options on the dice are not equally dispersed. Last but not least, I highly recommend that whenever you get a new game, before you introduce it to your friends or your family, you play it by yourself, even if it's supposed to be a multiplayer game. Check out the rules, make sure you understand them, read them thoroughly, because, well, you just want to avoid situations like this. Oh, do you feed your magic unicorn now or after the sugar plum fairy gives you raindrops? Let me see. Oh, wow, we've been playing this totally wrong. It's you get the raindrops first and then you feed your magic unicorn. Yeah, that's fine. You can totally do that this time. But next time, like, everybody can agree that we're going to follow the rule in the book, right? Or a situation like this. I forgot how to move my pawn. Hold on a second. Yeah, you just have to roll the dice first, and then reference chapter 1074 in the primary rule book. 1074. Yeah, oh, sorry guys, hold on just a second. I'll get this in just a second. 1074. Right. Yes, we were doing it right the entire time. Yes. Well, guys, if you found this video informative, please like and subscribe, and make sure you check out our other videos. Some of you are probably looking at the camera and screaming, "But you forgot so-and-so!" Absolutely leave a comment below if we forgot any kind of rules lingo that can be seen across multiple games, or if you've encountered little tips and tricks that help you and your friends learn games. Be sure and check out our next videos in which we're going to discuss different types of board games, specifically Ameritrash and Euro-style games. Catch you next time on the Fell Road Express's Board Game of Education.